So the second thing you will get is you'll get the coursework which is designed by the team from Google itself. This the course is very up to date, so it makes sure that you are learning the right thing in the right way. So you need not to worry about the latest practices. It covers everything. And as a reward for all your hard work you have that you have put in while learning, you'll receive badges in your Google developer profile, which you can showcase on LinkedIn and social media. So make sure to create your Google developer profile and make it public. This course will also help you to prepare for a certification known as Associate Android Developer Examination. So this certification is in today's date, it is the most appreciated one from junior level Android developers. So if you're looking to start your career as an Android developer, so it's a good it looks good on your resume. And now this is the certification that you will be getting. So you'll get a certificate of completion if you are able to complete all the units from the course. Now, how to start your journey? Now, to start your journey, you'll first need to create a Google profile, Google developer profile. So I'll just show you my profile, what it looks like. So this is what a Google developer profile looks like. It's very simple to create. Just you fill in your basic details, first name, last name, and everything. And then these are the badges that you'll be collecting. So these are the badges from previous year because I participated in this study jams last year also. Okay. So, what equipments are you going to need for this program? That is to learn Android development. So, first of all, you will need a computer with a stable internet connection, and you'll need to install the most important thing is Android Studio, which is a tool or a IDE to develop Android apps. There's no alternative for this, so sorry for that. And but there's a catch here because Android Studio is quite resource heavy. So for those who are having systems with better configurations like i5 processor or 8 GB of RAM, you are good to go. But for those who don't have such configurations, it's going to be a work of patience for you guys. And uh, you'll also need an Android device to test your apps if you don't want to install an emulator in your system. So emulator is nothing but an image of Android which you can use to which you can install in your Android Studio and use it to test your app. So but if you think that your laptop or computer might not be able to handle that, so you can just connect your Android device with the USB cable, just enable the debugging option, and you are good to go. Now, the course name that we are going to complete in this study jam is Android Basics in Kotlin. So, in this course, you will be learning 6 units. That is, you will be covering 6 units. In each unit, you will have multiple pathways, and you'll be collecting multiple badges from each unit. And after collecting 16 badges, you would have completed the course. So let me just show you the uh, course website. So as you can see on the landing page, it says Android Basics in Kotlin. So this course is going to be from basics. It's very beginner friendly. And if you have prior programming experience, then it's very easy to follow because Kotlin is a very simple programming language. And if you're coming from Java background, then it hardly takes 2 weeks to get acquainted with the syntax. This course will also help you for the preparation of associate Android developer certification, as I told earlier. Now, this course is spread across 6 units. This first unit covers Kotlin basics. Now, so first of all, this link will be shared to you. So don't worry about that. Every resources will be shared to you. So first unit covers Kotlin basics. It will cover everything that you need to get started with Android development, and the subsequent units will cover some concepts in Android, like in unit 2, that is layouts. You'll learn to um, develop or design your screens of your app. So in Android, we design our screen with the help of XML, which is a short form for extensible markup language. You can relate XML with HTML. You just have opening and closing tags, and with the help of those tags, you just declare the UI. Uh, so after covering the layouts, in the third unit, that is navigation, this is where real development begins. In navigation unit, you'll be covering um, how to create multiple screen apps. So for that, you learn about Android Jetpack's navigation component. It helps you to define the routes of your screen, and this unit will also teach you how to transfer data from one screen to another. And you'll also learn about some Android architecture components like view model and live data, which are almost used in every app. And then after covering navigation, you'll move on to cover unit 4, that is connect to internet. In this unit, you'll cover how to connect your app to the internet and fetch data from like web services, REST APIs, how to pass JSON response, and mainly you learn about two libraries in this unit. You learn about a Retrofit, which is a networking library in Android, and Retrofit is the library which is highly used in industry. You'll also learn about a library known as Coil. So Coil is a library which is used to parse images in your application. So you just pass in the link of the image, and it will showcase that image in your app. You'll also learn about a design pattern known as MVVM, which stands for Model View Model. This is a design pattern which is used in industry in every app. So you are going to learn most of the things in this project. Now moving on to unit 5. Unit 5 covers data persistence. Data persistence is nothing but databases. So in databases, you will cover an API called as RoomDB. So RoomDB helps you to store data in your local databases. An example of after covering this unit, you can make apps like note taking app, for which you need database to store your notes, and similar apps. Now this unit 6 work manager has been newly added from this year. Until last year, this unit was not present, but it's good that the Google team has added this unit also from this year. So this work manager is an API in Android which we use to schedule background tasks. So like an example of this can be in WhatsApp, we have chat backups, right? In chat backups settings, we have the option to set how often we want to back up the chats, like daily or after some like weekly, like that. So with work manager, you can schedule those kind of tasks. So after covering all these 6 units, you will cover almost 50 to 60% that is to learn in Android development. After covering these 6 units, you will be able to make your own apps, your beautiful apps, and you can publish them on Play Store, integrate ads into them and earn money. So this was about the course that you are going to cover. My team will share the link in the chat box for this course. Now, I would like to cover a few basics of Kotlin. Um, Let me share my screen. Just reply in the chat box if you are able to see the screen. Okay, okay. Thank you. So, uh, in this second half of the session, we are going to cover a few basics of the Kotlin. Can you please tell me how many of you are familiar with any form of programming experience? How many of you have programming experience? Like you, many of you might be from SE and TE, so you must be having programming experience, right? Okay, C++. Just type in the language name that you are familiar with. Java, Python, Java, JavaScript. Okay, so let me tell you, if you are familiar with any of these programming languages, that is any object-oriented programming language, let's say Java, Python, C++, you are good to go. And mainly, if you are familiar with Java, this will be a piece of cake for you to get familiar with the Kotlin syntax. So let us start with Kotlin. Okay. Uh, a small question for you all. What does a programmer do when he or she picks up a new language? Can you answer that? Yeah, you're right. Hello world. So we'll see how we can print a hello world in Kotlin. So for all the Pythonistas out there, you'll love this because in Kotlin also we have print statement to print anything. So this is how you will print hello world or whatever you want to print. So let me just run the program. By the way, if you want to code along, you can do so by just typing Kotlin Playground in your search box. So it is a coding background for Kotlin. You don't need to install any IDE, but I recommend installing IntelliJ IDEA as it's quite professional, and this will make you familiar with the JetBrains IDE and Android Studio, because Android Studio is again made by JetBrains. So this is your first line of Kotlin. Okay. Now, I have a question. Like, what if you want to print another line uh, of, let's say, "Hello World"? How will you print? Suppose I want to use two print statements and I want to print hello world. Can you paste the code? Yeah, yes, by using escape sequence. Yeah, Amay Joshi, you are right. We'll use print ln, but for those who don't know, if we use a print here, can anybody guess what is going to be the output? Yes, this will print both the text on the same line. Yes. Now, now, as Aditya Kumar Jaiswal has written, we can use escape sequence here. Like, but what if I don't want to use escape sequence everywhere? For that, we have another method called as println. So what println does is it leaves a new line so that every print statement that you write after that statement is going to be on a new line. So if I say this, no change, right? Both are printed on different lines. Okay. So let's suppose you are writing a big code. Yes, Ankit, there's no semicolon. No semicolon in Kotlin. So let me tell you guys that Kotlin is a very flexible language. All the problems that Android developers were facing when they used to develop apps in Kotlin, sorry, in Java, those challenges have been overcome in Kotlin. So you'll see when you learn it, but let's just stick to this. Okay, so let's suppose you are writing a big code and you want to explain it to your friend, or let's suppose your friend wants to join in uh, and you want to explain it to your friend. So how will you do that? So for that we use comments. So in Kotlin there are two types of comments. One is a single line comment and other is multi-line comment. So for single line comment we just write to forward slash and this is commented. So for example, so this is the single line comment. But if I want to write in multiple lines, suppose if I want to explain something in detail, so for multiple line comment, I will write slash or forward slash and then star and then just press enter. And the IDE is smart enough to complete the comment. So and here you can write your paragraph. So suppose first line, second line, third line. So these are the comment. And suppose if I want to comment all of this, like the code that I have highlighted. So there's a shortcut in IntelliJ IDEA. So just press Control and forward slash. All the lines will be commented. Okay. So now let's come to main part, that is variables. In Kotlin, there are two types of variables. One is mutable variable and another is immutable variable. So for those who are coming from mm, JavaScript, or who are familiar with JavaScript would relate to this. Because in JavaScript also we have same. So for the name sounds quite intimidating, but the concept is very simple. So what mutable means is, if you define a variable, so suppose if you define name, so mutable variables can be changed after they are initialized. In Kotlin, we define mutable variable with the keyword var. So var, var, suppose name, and now I want to specify the data type of this variable. So I'll say colon, and then I'll write here the data type, that is name is going to be of data type string. Okay. So now if I want to, now I have initialized the name variable as my name, but now I want to change this to something else. I'll write, okay. So mutable variables are just the variables that can be changed after they are initialized. But if I don't want my variable to change, so those are called as immutable variables. In Kotlin, immutable variables are declared by keyword val, and suppose val age is of type int, and suppose age is 20, and suppose if I want to change the value of age. Now let's see if we can do that. So age is equal to 21. Now as you can see, it's showing some red squiggly line here. So if I press Alt plus Enter here, it will suggest me to change to var, because if I want to change the initialization, I'll have to make it mutable, right? But what if I run the program? Let's see what error it gives. Yeah, it says val cannot be reassigned. So same, immutable variables cannot be reassigned. But if I change it to var, yes, no error. Okay. So these were the variables in Kotlin. Now let's say I declare a variable. Let's say now these are the two variables that I have declared. Can you guys notice any difference here? Type in the chat box. Can you guys? Yes, no string written. So in Kotlin, we don't need to specify the data type every time. Okay, so it's we have this flexibility in Python also, right? That we don't need to specify the data type of the variable. In Kotlin also, Kotlin is smart enough to guess the value of the variable. But suppose if suppose I make this val as var, so this has become an mutable variable now. But if and I haven't specified any data type here. Okay, so suppose if I change first name to let's suppose if I try to make initialize it with int value, integer value, it shows me an error. It says add a toString call. Now this toString is a utility method that's out of scope of this session, but it's showing some error. So let's see, let's run the program and let's see what it shows. It says the integer literal does not conform to the expected type string. It says that in simple terms, it was expecting a string to be passed here, but we have passed an integer value. So um, when you define a variable, a mutable variable, so it expects so whatever the data type with which you initialize the variable, you should pass that data type when reinitializing that variable. Okay. Now suppose I want to print these two variables. And in Java, what we used to do is we used to write first name plus space plus last name, right? We call this string concatenation, right? Now, let's suppose, let's run this first. Yeah. Now, in Kotlin has made it so concise that you can just type of whatever you want, but you can access the variable with the help of character which is dollar. This is a special character in Kotlin which is used to access the variable. Now suppose first name, and then I'll just use it again, last name. It will give us the same output. Yeah. So this is called as string interpolation in Kotlin. So it makes it very simple to, you know, write if you want to print something with multiple lines, then it makes the code a little bit smaller. Okay, so now we'll cover something called as if else statement. So in Kotlin, if else statement is similar to Java, Python, not Python, Java, C++. Okay, so let's suppose we have mm, a certain kind of license that only allows that is available for only the people above the age of 18. So I'll say val age is equal to suppose 15, and I say if age is greater than or equal to 18, then only allow the person. Okay, else not allowed. So as you can guess, there's no difference in if else statement. Okay, so you guys might have guessed the output here. Let's run the program. Not allowed. Okay, now if I change it to 20 and run the program again, it says allowed. So it's very simple in Kotlin, as you can see. No difference in if else statement. Now, we'll cover something which is new in Kotlin. Uh, how many of you guys know about a switch case statement in from C++ and Java? Have you guys heard about it? Switch case. Okay. So in Kotlin we have switch case. We don't have switch case. Instead, we have something called as a when statement. So just a minute, I have a piece of code written here. Let me paste that really quickly. Okay. So as you can see, there are three variables. One is operator num1 and num2, and here's the when statement. So when statement is nothing but Kotlin's way of writing switch case. Um, so can you guys guess the output here? Can you guys guess the output? Yes, invalid. It's that simple. So as you can see, Kotlin is very simple language, right? So if I change it to plus, now let's see what happens. 30. Yeah. So this was a switch. This is the when statement. Pranav, what do you mean by do operator? Okay. Mm, okay. So this was when statement in Kotlin, which is similar to switch case in C++ and Java. Now the next concept we are going to cover is loops, while loop and for loop. So in while loop, we'll first cover while loop. So while loop is also similar to Java, just that the variable initialization is different, where and val. So as you can see, I have initialized a mutable variable here. Okay, I've initialized a mutable variable I as a 6, and if let's suppose I now can you guys guess the output of the program? So there's no do while in Kotlin, Ankit. Can you guys guess the program output of this program? 6 to 10. 6. Okay, let's see. Let's run the program. As you can see, it's going infinitely. It's an infinite loop, right? Okay. So this is because I haven't incremented the value of I, right? So if I increment the value of I, now let's run the program. Now it prints 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So while loop is similar to similar in Kotlin also, like Java. And just the difference is that you need to be careful while initializing the variable, because if you initialize this variable as an immutable variable like val, so it will give us an error. So let's see what it says. Yeah, it says to change to y, and if we run the program now, it again says val cannot be reassigned. So this is where you need to be careful. Okay, now let's cover for loop in Kotlin. So for loop in Kotlin is also similar with a small difference. So I have this piece of code here. Okay, can you guys guess what this will print? Yes, yes, Bharat, you are right. It will print from 1 to 10. This is a Kotlin's way of saying that print from 1 to 10. This double dot specifies the range, and it prints the value inclusive the upper range and the lower range, that is from 1 to 10. So let's suppose if I want to print from 10 to 1, will this work? Yes, yes, and Ankit, we have range for that in Python. Will this work? Because for 1 to 10 it worked. It should work for this also, right? Any guesses? Sorry, Ankit, it will not print in reverse order. There's a catch here. So if you want to print in descending order, you need to use down to 1. This is how you print in descending order. As you can see, it has printed in descending order. Now, let's suppose I want to print from 10 to 1, but on the interval of 2. So I'll say step and 2. So let's see what this will print. Yeah. So this has printed everything at the interval of 2. Now, this was the for loop in Kotlin, but let's say let's say we have a list of fruits, like let's say we have a list of fruits, and I want to iterate through this. So I can iterate through this by using for loop. So what I'm going to do right now is very similar to what we do in Python. So we just say for fruit in fruits, I'll just print fruit. Now let's see what it prints. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, and now if I want to just print the list, I can just print uh, fruits here, and it will print a list with the brackets. Yeah. So now we'll cover write everything that we need to be executed. Right, in Kotlin also we write everything in this main function, but when you develop apps with Kotlin, you'll not encounter this main function. Also, um, the functions are similar in Kotlin, just that the keyword is different. In Kotlin, the keyword for function is fun. So fun, let's say um, I want to add two numbers. Add. This is how you specify the parameters in any function in Kotlin. You just write the parameter name, you just write the colon, and you write the data type of that parameter. And then you write another parameter that I want to add numbers, right? I'll say num1 plus num2. Now it's giving me an error. So it says change return type of enclosing function add to int, because we are returning this addition will return num, right? So we'll specify here the return type. This is how we specify the return type of any function in Kotlin. So let's call this function. So obviously this will print 5. Let's run the program. Yeah, as expected, this has print 5. So this is how you write functions in Kotlin. So now the last part of this session that we are going to cover is classes. So classes are the backbone of any object-oriented programming language, right? Without oops, you cannot. I believe you cannot develop any app simply because when you develop Android apps, you will be creating many classes, you will be creating many objects, and you will be returning objects from the functions. You will not return the simple int or string. You will be returning objects. So for that, I have a piece of code written here. I'll explain the code. This is how you create a class in IntelliJ IDEA. So, did you notice that you have two options? That is to create a Java class and to create a Kotlin class. But we are creating a Kotlin class here. So, as you can see, there are many types of classes that you have in Kotlin. You also have these classes in Java also, just that you don't have data classes, sealed classes, and object. Okay, so I'll create a class named bulb. Okay, so I have pasted a code here. It's a very simple code. So as you can see, the class keyword is used to initialize a class. This is the name of the class, and these are the member variables. And these are the member functions of the class. So it's a very simple program. It just says bulb's company, and if the bulb is on or not, if we say turn on, then it will initialize the is on variable to on. If turn off, then it will initialize is on variable to off, and check if on will return if the bulb is on or off. Current company says returns the current company of the bulb, and change company method will change the value or change the brand. Now as I said earlier, anything that you want to execute should be written in main function. So I have initialized object. This is how you initialize an object in Kotlin. I believe this is the same way you initialize objects in Python also, right? So This is how you initialize in Kotlin. Now on this Kotlin object, I have called the method called as current company. Now what do you think is the current company? Will this return? That is the method current company. Yes, Aniruddha, single quotes are allowed for string in Kotlin. Can you guys guess the output if I call? Okay, no guesses. Okay, so let's see what this program returns. It returns current company is Philip because I have already initialized this variable as Philip, right? And this current company method just returns this member variable. So here you can see what I taught in the session. I have used that just the loops and when statement is not used in this program. So if I say bulb dot turn off, now it's already off. I have assigned this is on variable to off, and turn off will assign this variable to off only. Now let's say I'll write here turn on. This will turn on the bulb, and if I call the method check if on, then it should return me the bulb is on, right? Yes, as expected, it has written the statement bulb is on. So this is how you create classes in Kotlin. So that's it from my side today. As you can see, Kotlin is a very simple language. Now let's have a Q&A session. If anybody has any doubt, you can ask. Bharat, we have used dollar symbol here because we want to access this variable, right? Sorry, let me share my screen again. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So as you can see here, I have accessed this company variable here, right? So in order to access this variable in within these double quotes, I need to use this special character dollar to access this variable. That's why we have used a dollar symbol here. Thanks, Ankit. Pranav, can you please specify the line number so that I could just explain? No, Ankit. Line number 14. So on line number 14, Pranav, we have just started our function, right? There's no dollar symbol on this line. Pranav, I'm not able to get you because on line 14 we have just initialized the function. Okay, anybody has any doubt? Yes, Anirudh, there are default data structures like we have primitive data structures like int. So let's say here we have, let's say, name, which is of a type string, right? Another one we have is, so this I use a shortcut which is Control D to just copy the line. Another data structure that we have is int. Okay. Oh, you mean data structures or data type? Anirudh, can you be specific? Data structures. So in data structure we have array. I'm not familiar with any other data type as I have not encountered like any linked list or tree of that sort. But in Kotlin we have array. So we can initialize array as we have, it's called as array list. As you can see, this is how we initialize array in Kotlin. Yeah. So Ankit, if you want to connect, you can just DM me. I would be happy to help. Does anybody else have any doubt? Okay, so I think we can close the Q&A now. Yes, Ayush will share everything, link of every resource that you'll be needing in this program. So to register for this program, let me share my screen again. Okay. So to register for this program, the registration link will be shared today. That is on 29th of November. The first thing you need to do is you need to create Google developer profile and make sure to make it public. And the forms will close on 3rd of December. We have given a buffer period of 3 to 4 days so that you can create Google developer profile link. And after filling the form, you'll be redirected to the WhatsApp group in which all the resources would be shared. And if you have any doubt, you can just ask me there. I would be happy to help. Or if you don't want to ask in public, you can just DM me and make sure to join it for further updates. Okay, this is the link of the WhatsApp group. Okay, any doubts? If nobody has doubt, then we can call it a day. Thanks, Aditya. So all the links will be shared in the WhatsApp group. Yeah. Any doubts? If no doubts, then we can just end this session. By the way, how was the session? Can you please rate it on the scale of 5? Okay. Thanks all. Thank you all of you. Okay. So I think we should call it a day here. So uh, no, Ankit, I'm not working anywhere. I'm pursuing final year. And so we can call it a day. All the links will be shared in the WhatsApp group, so make sure to join it. Okay then. Bye bye.